Good morning. I'll call the meeting of the Dartmouth Board of Public Works to order. It's May 6th, 2024. This meeting is being recorded and is available through Dartmouth Town TV. We'll have a roll call. Mr. LaBelle?
Here.
The chair is here. Mr. Alves is not here, but the board has a quorum, and so we will proceed. This meeting was called to discuss whether the board wishes to take a position on town charter committee recommendations having to do with the Public Works Department. Specifically, we were forwarded an email. Mr. Barber forwarded us an email from the town administrator regarding Article 31, which is a proposed charter amendment that would change the hiring and compensation of the Department of Public Works director from the Board of Public Works to the Select Board. I also noticed that the warrant refers to the superintendent of public works, and I'll have to go back and see whether I just saw this. And so one of the issues here is that we haven't been given language for this until we made a request through Mr. Barber. We received this language late last week. But I'm not sure why the warrant would refer to the superintendent of public works when the position is the director of public works. We also the board has seen a draft letter to the select board requesting that that warrant Article 31 be deferred until the Department of Public Works has completed a proposed evaluation, which is proposed to be funded in this year's budget and completed in the summer of 2024. I see we have a member of the Charter Committee who is also a member of the Select Board present. Mrs. Silver Brooks, would you care to provide any additional information on the proposed warrant article and the reasons that the Charter Committee has proposed this change?
Sure. This change was actually initiated by the Select Board last year or 2 years ago after Tim was appointed. Having read the charter and being concerned that it was sorry, I'm just trying to pull some information out. The Select Board, in essence, had little involvement in setting compensation, which is something no other appointed board does. So that was their biggest concern, is that as an appointed board, it was something concerning to them. So that was a direct result of a request by members of the entire Select Board at the time. So we worked on that.
Right.
And that's the only issue we dealt with, was how to have more of a presence or involvement.
Mr. LaBelle, do you have any questions?
Well, one concern I did have in reading, Article 31, the changes requested by the Select Board. It said, shall fix the compensation of a superintendent, and I agree, I always thought it was director, but the superintendent of public works who shall exercise and perform under its supervision and direction. So it sounds to me that it's a quite tad larger than just who we hire and how much we pay. This is that the select board is taking complete control of the director. That would be my more serious concern.
Let me pull up my third computer for the day. That if we read, sorry. That is not the intent. And it certainly is not the direction, although I understand that there's been discussions with Mr. Tattlebaum about an overall movement on your board or in tasks related, because it's an onerous job that Tim has. So let me just pull this up. I believe in the charter. Let me just double check. Anthony Stavastano did much of the work to make sure that our words were in alignment. So I'm just checking, and I see now that on Tim's contract, he's listed as the superintendent. So I'm just gonna look in the article. Anthony changed it to superintendent in the article.
If you look in the charter, it's labeled as.
I mean,
director.
charter, yeah, in the charter, it's, excuse me, Tim?
In the current charter, my position's listed as Director of Public Works.
Right, and so that's why I'm not sure why Anthony changed it to superintendent.
Tim, I have a question for you.
It says superintendent throughout.
Right. Tim, I have a question for you, and that is whether, what is the title of your divisional managers? Water and sewer, or water and sewer, transportation, or highway?
So they're all currently superintendent and assistant superintendents.
All right. So what we have is a potential point of confusion. I want to suggest that one of the reasons for working the Charter Review Committee directly with Public Works, both the professional staff and the Board of Public Works, is to be certain that the wording that is presented at town meeting be consistent with what needs to be approved by the town meeting members, so we don't run into this kind of a discussion at town meeting. So this is important because it's much better to consider these things on their merits rather than have the discussion devolve into issues having to do with wordsmithing. So my strong suggestion is that since there is no pending vacancy in the Public Works Director at this time, and we don't foresee any kind of a vacancy. I hope it seems that the wisest course of action right now is to defer this particular warrant item and have a discussion that includes any potential changes to the organization or how assignments are made within the department as a result of the study that we want to do next summer or this coming summer, as well as getting input from a new town administrator if we have one. Since if this is approved, this is going to increase the span of control of that new town administrator. There's a lot of potential detail that the town administrator is going to have to be directly involved in, given the language here. And there are items that will probably end up coming to the select board that are normally handled by the Board of Public Works. And so these are all, I guess, what are sometimes called unintended consequences, and they ought to be discussed. And at this point, there may be some reasons for making this change, but I think we're not quite ready to debate those changes because there are some details that ought to be discussed first. And that's my own opinion. Ron, do you?
Well, the only other thing I hadn't mentioned earlier, Mr. Chairman, and you just said it very well, was I was quite taken by surprise. This is a significant change in the charter, and it's taking, in my own opinion, pretty much all of the authority of the Board of Public Works away. And with no discussion, no questions asked, not even any notification. We had to find out on our own. And for somebody who's dedicating their time to the town, I just thought that was an inappropriate approach.
That was certainly not the intent. I was made aware that Brian O'Hare from the FinCom is a representative on the charter as well, and he said he attended most of your meetings. I know that Mr. Tattlebaum and Mr. Alme meet regularly, and so both of them have been aware, and my incorrect assumption is that they had shared this information with you.
I was first made of this on April the 4th. So and I understand that the committee had been discussing this change as a potential motion since January. So I think that's part of the miscommunication that has happened, and how much of it lies with the Board of Public Works and how much of it lies with the committee and or any members of the select board is really at this point not as important as what we feel is the appropriate action moving forward. And I think unless I understand that the select board is going to consider warrant articles this evening, and therefore we're meeting this morning to try and have some kind of coherent position that we can offer the select board in their considerations. It is, in the end, the select board's decision, and whatever that decision is, of course, is theirs to make. And the select board has a very important role in this town. They're the top elected officials and policymakers. And so whatever they recommend to town meeting is recommended to town meeting. But as I say, this board, at least a majority of us at this point, I think, believe that perhaps this is something that could be offered at fall town meeting. There are elections on a fairly regular basis. And if necessary, if there were something compelling about this, the town could certainly call a special election. I'm not sure this rises to the occasion of importance, but it might. And again, that's these are all things that are within the control of the select board. So
Could you just give me more information about the study that you're intending to complete over the summer?
it's called a rate and efficiency study for the department. We've started the rate study with the Abrams Group and Weston and Sampson, focusing initially on water and sewer. We will be looking at broader issues in the department, including highway and solid waste. And part of that discussion will inevitably spill over into organization and staffing. That's the efficiency part. And we've been discussing the need for this. And in fact, we agree with the town administrator that this is something that we should be working on. We've had these discussions with the town administrator over the last year. And so we've now proposed it in our budget. So we'll have the funding to do it. And as I say, we started it this year, but unfortunately we were underfunded last year. So this is finishing the job, if you will. And then once that's completed, we will share it with the select board. You'll recall that, Tim, we did send the PowerPoint from our last discussion of rates. So it would be something like that, plus a discussion of organization and function.
Yes, I did receive that and I sat in on that meeting. So, so yes, tonight it is on the agenda. We do, on select board, we do have a hold for next Monday night as well, if it is something that we want to consider the discussion to continue. Next Monday would be the last opportunity the select board would have to sign off on the town meeting warrant in order for it to go to print in a timely fashion.
Right.
You certainly raise interesting points. I will share via email your concerns to the Charter Commission. We don't have a meeting until Thursday of this week. The fact that our goal was to get things on the June town meeting in order, as you are aware or may be aware, the town meeting does not have final say. All of these charter amendment changes have to go to a townwide vote. So the next townwide vote is not until April 2025. So we have one other article from a charter change that we are holding off until the October town meeting. And so it's entirely possible that they may say we will hold off for more information until the October town meeting on this article item. But that would be our goal would be to discuss this either in June or in October so that it can be on the given to the voters in April of 2025.
All right. Mr. LaBelle, any other questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have none.
I just would like to add one thing. It's, you know, Heidi, I just wanted to let you know that I have the highest regard for elected leadership in organizations and especially in the town. And all I can say is this issue really took, I think, all of us by surprise. And that's my biggest concern, is that the board itself had no no wind that this was going to happen. You know, and for whatever reasons, I'm not trying to point fingers or
Right.
place blame, but,
And I understand that. I understand that. And as the chair, I certainly have to take the responsibility of that. So,
Well, it occurs to me that we do have time to work this out without affecting the overall schedule. So I think that's, if you put our recommendations in context, perhaps the select board could see a way to work with us through the summer. So we're in a position to make a considered recommendation in October to town meeting. So
mhm.
with that, we have in front of us a draft correspondence to the select board. Mr. LaBelle, the draft correspondence may need to be more closely edited. There may be some commas or spaces that want to be squared away, but I think I would be happy to entertain a motion to approve the correspondence to the select board and the charter review committee in substantially the same form that was considered by the board.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
And I will second that motion. We have a motion by Mr. LaBelle to forward the communication to the select board and charter review committee. That motion is seconded by the chair. Mr. LaBelle, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Tim, I'll work with you to finish that and get it into the hands of the town administrator and the select board this afternoon at the latest. And then we can I will offer to attend the select board meeting this evening in case there are any questions. I believe I heard that the charter review committee will meet later this week. I'll try and find out when that is. I have some commitments in the late afternoons that I prefer not to change. So, Mr. LaBelle, I may give you a call and see with in cooperation with Mr. Barber whether we can get that meeting covered as if necessary. All right.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. Are there any other items that need to be discussed?
Ms. Paul Pacheco, just for information, the superintendent or the director's job title description was changed back and approved at town meeting, I think 2009, 2010, reviewed by town council, and voted by town meeting members back then. I think it was fall of either 2009, 2010. It was officially changed to director with the description and title back then. So, and I know town council reviewed it. It was Savastano was there at that time too when it was changed and approved at the town meeting. That went to town meeting back then, sir.
I can't see who was just speaking, so I can just note
That's
that.
Mr. Pacheco. He's one of these superintendents, and he's we're lucky to have had him as many years as we have.
Okay, so the charter was changed. I
The title,
see.
Description was changed. The job title and description for the director was changed. 2009,
So I'm seeing
2010.
amended June 2014 and then voted April 2015. But unfortunately, it doesn't tell me what was changed. So
Right, I think that was a previous change probably to the director.
Yeah.
yeah, and there are some other details that I think would be worth discussing in this context, having to do with how some of the earlier positions were appointed and what the authorities and responsibilities of these positions were, because while they were incorporated into the Public Works Department several decades ago, the Highway Commissioner, Water and Sewer Commission, and Tree Warden, we don't have at this point a record of where those authorities and responsibilities were derived. In other words, legislation, earlier town meetings, and so there's not a good trail of exactly what these positions entail. And I would, at this point, if we're going to get into the town charter, I'd like to know a little bit more about the basis for what we do.
And
I
the
mean,
the town charter only has in it the information about the director or superintendent of public works.
correct.
That's as far as it goes. It doesn't go any further than that.
Right. However, in several decades ago, there was a town meeting in which several earlier commissioners' responsibilities and authorities were vested in the Public Works Department. And those are the authorities that we continue to work under today, but I would suggest it would be a good idea to understand exactly what those are. I tried to do a little bit of research through the town clerk's office, and they did not have the kind of records that would help. I can give you the actual dates or the years in which that was done, but they don't have anything prior to that. In any event, that's kind of off the mark a little bit. And to the extent we get into discussions, we can in the future talk about whether that's important enough to deal with or whether it's simply not that important. Anyway, Mr. LaBelle, if we have nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Mr. LaBelle to adjourn. The chair seconds the motion. Mr. LaBelle?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your time. I realize it's early and it's a heck of a way to start the work week, but here we go.